What if the secret to wealth was never hidden in the world, but buried inside you all along? Imagine unlocking a power so precise that your thoughts become currency, your beliefs magnetize opportunities, and your clarity commands results. This isn't fantasy. It's that forgotten formula of self-made millionaires. In this message, you'll uncover the 8 timeless money truths, how wealth starts in the mind, why burning desire attracts riches, the shocking importance of clarity, how faith bridges you to abundance, the silent genius of your subconscious, why action outruns talent, how solving problems multiplies value, and the ultimate truth. You already have everything you need. Let me tell you something that may shock you, but it is the very foundation of wealth. Money does not begin in your wallet. It begins in your mind. Long before first coin clinks in your pocket, the seed of that wealth has already been planted in your thinking. If your thoughts are filled with lack, doubt, or fear, then no amount of effort will keep money in your life. It will slip through your fingers as quickly as water. But when your thoughts are shaped by belief, purpose, and clarity, you become a magnet to wealth. It finds you in the most unexpected of ways. You see, everything that exists in your outer world was first imagined, formed, and nurtured in the inner world. A skyscraper was first a blueprint in someone's mind. A fortune was once a dream someone dared to believe in. A successful enterprise began as nothing more than a persistent idea. So, if you wish to change your financial condition, do not look first to your bank account. Look within. Look at the dominating thoughts that live in your mind day after day. Are they worthy of abundance? Or are they silently sabotaging your chances? The world is full of people working hard, yet remaining broke. Why? Because effort without direction is like a ship without a rudder. It moves, yes, but it goes nowhere. The man who becomes rich is not merely the man who works the hardest. He is the man who thinks with the greatest clarity and conviction. His mind is disciplined. His thoughts are not left to chance. He selects them with precision, feeding his consciousness with ideas of success, wealth, and service. He does not entertain poverty in his mind, and therefore he does not welcome it in his life. The mind is the workshop of all creation. You build your financial future there first. What you impress deeply enough into your mind with faith and emotion will begin to take shape in your circumstances. Your dominant thoughts act like signals, silently attracting people, situations, and ideas that align with them. This is not fantasy, it is law. The mind is the most powerful mechanism on earth, but it must be directed. You must become the master of it. Until then, it will act according to old fears, limiting beliefs, and unconscious programming. But once you seize control, once you realize the power you hold in your own thoughts, you hold the key to every treasure. No man was ever born poor in potential. It is only when he learns to think like a beggar that he becomes one. The moment he learns to think like a creator, like one who claims dominion over his thoughts, he begins to rise. That rise may be slow at first, but it is certain. And once the mind is fixed firmly on wealth, guided by purpose, and fueled by faith, then no power on earth can deny the results that follow. Desire, my friends, is not a feverish wish or a casual hope. It is not the kind of thought that drifts in and out of the mind like a passing breeze. No, true desire is a fire. It burns, it consumes, and it demands to be satisfied. The man who merely wishes for wealth will continue to wish, year after year, until he takes his final breath. But the man who desires wealth with such intensity that it becomes part of his very identity, that man will move mountains to get it. And the world, seeing his unshakable determination, will begin to yield its treasures to him. You must understand that desire is the starting point of all riches. It is the great fuel of every fortune. Without it, even the most brilliant mind will accomplish nothing. With it, even the most ordinary man can achieve greatness. Desire transforms a vague intention into a definite aim. It takes a dream from the clouds and plants it firmly in the soil where it can grow roots. And once it takes root, No storm can shake it. But desire must be specific. You cannot simply say, "I want more money," and expect the universe to respond. That is not a desire. That is a whisper in the wind. You must say how much, why you want it, and what you are willing to give in return. You must feed that desire with vision, repeat it with faith, and hold it with persistence until it becomes as real to you as the ground beneath your feet. That's when it begins to work for you. Desire has a strange power. It awakens dormant faculties in you. It brings to the surface courage you didn't know you had. It pushes fear out of the way. It opens your mind to possibilities that others cannot see. A burning desire creates an internal vibration so strong it reaches out and attracts the means of its fulfillment. People call it luck. But I tell you, it is law. It is cause and effect. The men who have risen from poverty to riches, from obscurity to prominence, all began with a burning desire. It consumed their thoughts by day and haunted their dreams by night. They did not wait for the perfect moment. They created the moment. They moved before they had everything figured out. They acted, failed, adjusted, and kept moving. And the world, seeing their fire, opened doors where there had once been only walls. Now ask yourself, how deep is your desire? Is it strong enough to move you to act? Is it powerful enough to silence your doubts? If not, you must feed it until it is, because until desire becomes the dominating force of your thoughts, your efforts will remain scattered. But once it takes over, once it becomes your obsession, then all the power you need will begin to respond in ways that defy logic. That is the nature of true desire, and that is where wealth begins. The man who becomes wealthy is not the one who merely wants money. It is the one who knows exactly what he wants and why. You see, money responds to clarity. It does not respond to confusion or half-hearted thinking. If you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. But when your mind holds a clear, definite picture of the riches you desire, it sets into motion forces far beyond your understanding. Vague thinking is the silent enemy of success. Most people never get rich because they never decide what riches mean to them. They drift from one idea to the next, hoping something will work, but never committing to a single aim. Their minds are scattered, their energy divided, and their results reflect that chaos. But the individual who says, "I will earn $100,000 by this exact date, and I will do so by rendering this particular service," has set his mind on a course that cannot be shaken. He has issued a command to the universe, and the universe begins to rearrange itself to honor that command. Now, some will say, "But how can I know how it will happen?" That is not your concern in the beginning. The how reveals itself after the what and the why have been established with total certainty. You do not need to see the entire path to begin the journey. You need only to take the first step with conviction, knowing your destination is real. Your mind, once directed with clarity and fueled by desire, will begin to notice ideas, people, and opportunities that were invisible before. It is as though a light has been turned on, and suddenly you see paths where before there were only walls. This is the power of a definite purpose. When you know what you want, down to the last detail, your mind becomes alert, focused, and efficient. You stop wasting time on what doesn't serve your aim. You stop listening to doubts and distractions. You begin to act with intention. And every step you take, no matter how small, builds momentum. That momentum becomes unstoppable when it is sustained by belief and disciplined thought. A man who moves without a purpose is like a ship without a compass. It may float, but it will drift aimlessly until it crashes or sinks. But a man with a clear goal, backed by strong desire, becomes like a guided missile. Even if he is thrown off course, he will correct and recalibrate until he reaches his target. That kind of thinking bends the world in his favor. So if you truly want money, stop making wishes and start making decisions. Get specific, define your goal, set a date, know what you will give to earn it, and above all, believe with every fiber of your being that it is already on its way. Because clarity is not just a tool, it is the spark that ignites the entire engine of success. Faith is the bridge that carries you from where you are to where you desire to be. It is not a blind hope, nor is it mere optimism. It is a deep, unshakable belief in the unseen, the unmanifested, the invisible riches that are already yours in thought. Without faith, even the strongest desire withers. Without faith, definite purpose becomes little more than a daydream. But with faith, a man transforms into a force of nature, one who bends circumstances, reshapes reality, and attracts wealth as if by magnetism. You cannot see faith with your eyes, but you can feel it in your actions. A man with faith walks differently. He speaks with conviction. He acts before the evidence appears, because he knows it will appear. His thoughts are not governed by his present conditions. They are governed by what he has already accepted as truth in his mind. That's the secret most men never discover. They wait for evidence before they believe, but the man who achieves wealth believes first. And that belief becomes the very cause of the evidence. You may ask, how can I develop faith when I am surrounded by debt, struggle, or lack? And I will tell you, it begins with repetition. Faith is built the same way any habit is built, through constant enforcement. When you repeat to yourself a definite statement of your desire, mixed with emotion and certainty, day after day, your subconscious mind begins to accept it as real. And once it does, it begins to work in silence, behind the curtain of your awareness, organizing ideas, people, and events that bring your belief to life. Your subconscious cannot distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined with feeling. It only acts on the ideas you impress upon it repeatedly. So if you impress it with doubt, fear, and limitation, it will create those results without fail. But if you feed it faith, backed by desire and clarity, it will move mountains to bring you what you ask for. There is a reason why men with lesser talents often achieve greater success than those with higher intelligence. It is because they believe they can. They act with confidence while others hesitate. They persist while others give up. Faith turns ordinary men into extraordinary achievers. It gives strength to your desire, energy to your actions, and endurance to your journey. You may not see the whole staircase, but faith lets you take the next step. And as you move forward, the path reveals itself. That is how riches are born. Not in sudden windfalls, but in quiet, consistent belief. The man who trusts in his vision more than in his present circumstances is the man the world eventually calls lucky. But it was never luck. It was faith, deliberately planted and fiercely protected. What you believe, you become, and what you become, you inevitably attract. Within every human being lives a silent power, one that never sleeps, never argues, and never forgets. That power is your subconscious mind. It does not judge, question, or reason the way your conscious mind does. It simply receives instructions, and once it accepts them, it gets to work, using every resource, every ounce of intelligence, and every unseen force to carry out what you've impressed upon it. This is the quiet partner in your pursuit of wealth. While others look to external tools and resources, the man who understands this power looks inward, knowing that riches are first earned in thought, long before they ever show up in his hand. The subconscious mind is always listening. It hears your words, it feels your emotions, and it responds to your dominant thoughts, whether you are aware of them or not. If your mind is filled with worry, with fear of poverty, or resentment toward those who have succeeded, then you are instructing your subconscious to build more of that same experience. But if your thoughts are filled with gratitude, with belief in abundance, and with a vivid vision of the wealth you intend to claim, Then you are giving it new blueprints, and it will follow those blueprints to the letter. The most powerful tool you can use to influence this inner mind is autosuggestion. It is the practice of feeding your subconscious repeated, emotionally charged affirmations of the riches you intend to possess. This is not mere repetition. It is repetition mixed with belief and backed by emotion. When you say to yourself with full conviction that you are becoming wealthy, that you are attracting opportunities, that you are capable of creating value, your subconscious begins to accept those ideas as fact, and once it accepts them, it begins to act upon them, not through magic, but through very real, very practical ways. Through ideas that come suddenly, through hunches that prove correct, through chance meetings that are not chance at all. This mind beneath the surface is also the reason some men seem to rise effortlessly, while others struggle despite all their efforts. The struggling man may work hard, but his inner beliefs conflict with his desire. He tells himself one thing consciously, but his subconscious holds on to doubt. The result is a life of contradiction, of effort without reward. But the man who brings his conscious aim and his subconscious belief into harmony moves with incredible power. His thoughts are aligned, and his results follow quickly. You cannot lie to the subconscious. You must train it. You must saturate it with images, affirmations, and emotions that match the life you seek. In doing so, you reshape your internal world, and that in turn reshapes the external. Every dollar you attract, every opportunity that finds you, every success that unfolds, has its origin deep within the silent work of this inner mind. It is the invisible architect of your destiny. Ideas alone do not build fortunes. Wishes, dreams, and intentions, while noble, are lifeless without action. Action is the force that breathes life into thought. It is the only language that success understands. You may hold the clearest vision, the strongest desire, the deepest faith, but if you do not act consistently, courageously, and deliberately, you will remain exactly where you are. The man who achieves wealth is not always the one with the grandest ideas, but the one who moves with purpose while others hesitate. Far too many people wait. They wait for the right moment, the perfect plan, the sure guarantee. But wealth does not wait. It moves quickly, and it rewards those who move with it. The world is full of men who thought greatly but acted little. Their dreams withered under the weight of procrastination. But the man who acts in faith, even when the path is unclear, sets a law in motion. He builds momentum. Each step forward strengthens his belief, sharpens his vision, and draws opportunity closer. There is magic in movement. When you act on your desire with conviction, your mind becomes more alert. Your subconscious, already working beneath the surface, begins to offer new ideas. Your faith grows stronger because you see progress. Doubt begins to dissolve, not because it vanishes on its own, but because action chokes it out. You cannot act boldly and fear fully at the same time. One always gives way to the other. You must also understand that action need not be dramatic. It only needs to be consistent. One step taken every day in the direction of your goal is far more powerful than 1,000 brilliant thoughts left to rot in the mind. You may not always know the perfect move, but do not let that stop you from making the best move you know now. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. The rest will meet you on the way. And when resistance shows up, as it always does, persist. Because those who keep going after others have stopped are the ones the world eventually calls unstoppable. Action separates the dreamers from the achievers. It is the test of sincerity. If your desire is real, you will act. If your purpose is strong, you will not let excuses rule your days. Wealth, after all, responds to value, and value is delivered through action. So do not merely think. Do not merely wish. Stand up and move. Speak your desire, write it down, plan it, and then take the first step. however small. Act in faith, and the path will stretch out before you, because thought may begin the journey, and faith may light the way, but only action will carry you to the destination. If you truly wish to unlock the gates to wealth, understand this truth well. Money flows in the direction of value, and value is created by solving problems. The man who sets his mind, not on chasing riches, but on becoming useful, on serving others, on making life easier, better, or more efficient for those around him, is the man who opens himself to a flood of opportunity and compensation. There is no great mystery in it. Money is simply a reward, a certificate of appreciation for service rendered, and the greater the service, the greater the reward. Look around and you'll see this law in motion everywhere. The wealthiest individuals are those who found a way to solve a problem for many. Some did it with inventions, others with ideas, some through systems, some through leadership, but in every case they offered something of real value, and the world paid them in kind. It is not the pursuit of money that brings success, but the pursuit of purpose, of usefulness, and excellence. Money is the shadow of value. Chase the shadow, and it eludes you. Stand in the light of service, and the shadow follows. There is another law here, just as important. If you consistently render more service than you are presently paid for, you plant seeds that must in time yield a harvest. This is not a guess. It is a principle that never fails. The man who goes the extra mile, who gives more than expected, who shows up with excellence even when unnoticed. He is building a reputation, a character, and a value that cannot be ignored for long. And when his time comes, the rewards will arrive with interest compounded. On the other hand, those who hold back, who do only what they are paid for, or worse, less than that, are shutting the door to growth. They are telling the universe, I am not ready for more. And so more never comes. They wonder why they are passed over, why they remain stuck, why others move forward while they stay behind. The answer is simple. They have not earned their advancement through service. If you would become wealthy, then become valuable. Ask yourself each day, how can I help more? How can I give more? How can I solve a bigger problem for more people? You need not begin with something grand. Begin where you are. Look at those you serve now and find a way to serve them better. Pour yourself into the task at hand, and soon a bigger task will be given to you. That is how it works. Remember this: the man who becomes rich is not the man who waits to be paid before he gives. He is the man who gives so much that the world insists on paying him. The greatest secret to wealth is this: you already possess everything you need to become rich. It is not outside of you. It is not buried in a distant opportunity or locked behind someone else's permission. The treasure you seek is within. Your mind, your thoughts, your decisions, your imagination, your discipline, your persistence. These are the real gold. These are the invisible tools by which every fortune is first built. And until a man comes to believe this truth, he will chase the wind, never realizing he carries the storm within him. So many people look outward, thinking if only they had the right job, the right connection, the right break, then success would be theirs. But all the outer things are just effects. They are reflections of what already exists in the mind. The man who transforms his thinking, who decides to believe in his own ability to create, who takes control of his thoughts instead of letting the world dictate them, that man steps into power. And power, when directed by purpose, always attracts wealth. You don't need to wait. You don't need to ask permission. You don't need to be born into it. You need only one thing: a decision. The moment you decide to master your thoughts, to set a definite goal, to feed your mind with belief instead of doubt, and to move with action and persistence, that moment you begin to call upon forces far greater than any obstacle in your path. And as you begin to act from this place of inner ownership, the world begins to respond. The ability to imagine a life greater than your current one is not fantasy. It is creation. The ability to hold that vision and act toward it every day is not struggle. It is strength, the ability to feel abundance before it arrives, to give more than you get, to remain faithful when evidence is yet to appear. That is the path of every self-made success. You don't need more money to become rich. You need a stronger belief in your power to attract, to serve, to persist, and to grow. There will always be circumstances that seem unfair, moments that test your resolve, but wealth is never about what happens to you. It is about how you respond. The poor man reacts, the rich thinker creates. One surrenders to conditions, the other reshapes them. And this is not reserved for the elite. It is the right of any man who dares to take possession of his own mind. So the question is not whether you have what it takes. The question is whether you will use what you already have. Because once you do, once you begin to operate from the truth that you are the source of your wealth, then no limitation, no setback, no rejection can stop what's coming.